Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia. I'm coming to you from the UK, and today is Saturday, the 26th of July 2025. This is my knitting podcast, so I hope you'll enjoy it. And if you are coming back, then thank you so much for that. Today we'll be talking mostly about knitting, and then towards the end I will mention my little embroidery FO as well. But let's just jump in because I am already so warm. I put on my finished object for you because I'm so excited that I finished it. This is my winter's beach cardigan. As you can see, it has full-length sleeves. I can't give you a full-length body shot, but I'll take it off in a second. But here it is. This was finished last night. It has not been blocked, so I am planning to block it quite aggressively just to make it a little bit more oversized. It fits perfectly fine. Like you can see, it closes, it hangs nicely. It does everything it's supposed to do. I would just like it to be a bit more oversized, as my first edition of this pattern is. And the reason why I think my first one is more oversized is literally just because it has been worn to death and blocked. So we shall block this too. Honestly, I had no plan to finish this before showing it to you this weekend. But yesterday I was just on a roll. I was just doing so much sleeve knitting, and all of a sudden I was like, if I stay up like 30 minutes more than I was planning to, I could actually get this done, and I did. So this is the Winter's Beach cardigan. It's a pattern by Drea Renee Knits. This is my second version of this pattern, and as with the first one, I didn't do the pockets because I don't really see the point. But yeah, it is done. This marker is, no, that isn't where I was last time. I don't know what that marker is doing. Last time I showed it to you, I think I had done one front and I was like just starting on the back. So as you can tell, I've now finished the back and the second front. I then joined them together with the 3 needle bind off, although I like to do it on the inside, so you get that seam on the inside somewhere here rather than the outside. And then I picked up the sleeves and I did my own decreases, just so I don't even know what the pattern tells you to do. I just like to do my own decreases because my arms are right there. So I can just basically make the sweater fit me perfectly, which I have done. All the ends are woven in. They just haven't been snipped off yet because I like to block first and then snip off the ends so they can sort of work their way in and I don't cut them too short. And yeah, this baby is done and I'm so excited about it. This is from some really old stash yarn. This is Black Hill Reborn, which I think I bought from Garnet Salk in Denmark years and years ago. Not quite a decade ago, but not far off either. This is a sport weight yarn. It's 300 meters to 100 grams, and it's 80% recycled merino, 20% other fibers, which I presume are the little tweedy neps that I think, especially on the sleeve, they show up even on camera. I really like this yarn. It was a very random yarn that I bought on that Danish website that back in the day you couldn't translate to English. I have a feeling you still can't. So I was always like sort of buying in the dark. But yeah, I'm really happy I used this yarn. And I did want to wear this for the podcast, but honestly it is warm. It is a warm sweater and it's a warm day. I can't deal with it, but here it is. I think I knit size 2, so that's a little bit less ease than the pattern or that Andrea recommends, but it worked out quite well. And like I said, I think once I block it, all these cables will sort of even out a little bit. It'll look a little bit nicer. So I may wear it again next week or another week just to show you the difference. But yeah, it is done. And obviously that's quite a big project of my needles. So I'm very excited by this. And honestly, this time in summer was maybe not the perfect time to work on a cabled cardigan, but here we are. We made it work and I am very thrilled about it. So that is my first finished object for this week. Excuse the outfit change. The other finished object that I have has a bit of a backstory, and let's talk about some potholders. So back in the day, I used to have these beautiful, very, very well-loved potholders that my great-grandmother made. So these are crocheted really, really tightly, and they've got like everything is quite perfect on these, except they're very, very worn. And at one point, I think like 8 years ago or something, one of them broke. So I made a knit version in the same color palette. I did a mitered square with 2 strands of cotton. Please excuse the fact these look horrible. They have been washed, but honestly, this one is just gone. It's been very, very well used, but I got this out of the washing machine the other day and I was like, this is ridiculous. I need to make some more potholders. So this was sort of the not matching but original set. And then when I was in Germany over Christmas, because my parents were emptying out my late grandparents' house, I found this. And I was told my great-gran also made this, but I don't think she did. I think this looks more like maybe my mum as a child had to do some crochet practice. And while it is not bad, and it also matched my potholder color scheme, this is too holy. Both my husband and me have used this once, and both of us each burned the fingers using this. So this is one that is not in use. So when it came to more potholders, I decided to go with the knitted ones again, because I don't want to do that super tight crochet, because that would kill my hands. And this has been perfect because it's garter stitch, it doesn't have any holes. So yeah, it is absolutely perfect, and in terms of the fabric, it's quite nice when it's not this. So I decided to make some new ones. So I dug out some cotton. This is cotton from Hobby Rainbow 8/4. And funnily enough, these are the leftovers of the first baby blanket I made for my son when I was pregnant. So that would have been almost 6 years ago. Yeah. So I dug some of these colors out. I just had some like part balls, and I decided to hold it double again, because I think you need to hold it at least double if you want something that doesn't burn your hands. Even with these, I tend to then, when I use them, I hold them double again. So I think a single strand would just be too thin. I know some patterns even hold it triple. And I've just realized where I made a mistake, but it's fine. And yeah, I did the same thing. Funnily enough, I even had a Ravelry page for my original potholder. I don't know, something like 65 or 61 stitches. If you go into my Ravelry, you'll figure it out. Just search for potholder. And I did the same thing. And it looks a little bit smaller, but I think it will grow over time. I honestly thought about blocking these for the podcast, and then I thought that's ridiculous. And also you want them to be sort of like smushy and stuff. So if you stretch them out too much, obviously they won't fulfill their purpose as well anymore. So yeah, I just held 2 strands of cotton together, 3.5mm needles, and I made one. And then I made another one, which I like so much more, which is this one. So this one has 2 shades that are like slightly closer in terms of the color. And this is beautiful. This one I really like. This one is fine, but this one I think is very, very pretty. And I could see myself making more of these and blocking them and giving them as gifts, because I think they're very pretty. And just that garter stitch with 2 strands of cotton held together, it feels really nice, even for like a towel, a face cloth, something like that. And I have face cloths, which I use all the time, and they hold up super well. But yeah, this has definitely inspired me to make some more. So I think I only needed 2 potholders, so these will go in the drawer for now. But I don't know, do I want to do potholder gifts for Christmas? I think it's an option. Let me know what you think. But I am quite happy with these, and I just needed something else to work on. So yeah, those are my potholders. And before we go into whips, because we're talking about cotton yarn anyways, excuse that, I also picked up some more cotton, because I think what I want to do is I want to make some hand towels. When will this happen? No idea. But I really, really enjoyed making these little things. And as I said, I have face cloths, which are like the half and half wrap in tiny versions that I made maybe last year, maybe the year before. And honestly, I love them so much. I use them all the time. They've been through the washing machine a million times. And they are made out of Schepjes Catania. So that's a mercerized cotton. And yeah, we use them all the time. I use them with my son. And one day I would like to get to a point where I also just have like small hand towels that I made myself rather than shop bought ones. So I work in the middle of London, not too far away from a Sostrene Grene shop, which, excuse me, I probably butchered that, but it's this shop. And I went the other day and picked up some more cotton. So these colors, they're so fun. And honestly, when I then got home, I feel like these need to be a top or something. They're so pretty. I really love this color combination. Possibly even this, but I think just this. Maybe this. So I almost changed my mind, but I think I'm gonna stick with my original plan and make these into sort of household little towels, face cloths, and so on. And I think once again, if I mix the ones, like hold two strands together of the ones that are very similar in tone, I think they'll be very, very pretty. And I could do all kinds of sort of color progression and fades. I mean, there's loads and loads of possibilities. I haven't 100% decided what I want to do. But yeah, I think it's going to be some sort of garter stitch little house project. And yeah, they're so fun. They're such fun colors for summer. As you may know, we're going to Germany next week for 3 weeks, including 2 of those weeks that I'll be working. I mean, those would be easy projects to take as well, except cotton is quite heavy. So maybe I'll take a couple of skeins to make something. Maybe not. We'll see. Sorry, my voice keeps going. I'm not sure if I'm getting ill or if it's just allergies, but we're going with allergies for now. And I have 2 more projects to show you. Should we go with the more... No, I've lost the ball. Oh no, we're good. Let's go with the one that you haven't seen before. And this, I have talked about this in theory in the past, and that is the fact that when I was in Germany last time round, both my parents basically told me to knit them stuff. So my mum wanted a cowl, which you've seen many times if you've been watching the podcast, that striped cowl out of an acrylic yarn, because she doesn't do any wool and she can't stand it. So that's done, and I already gave that to her wrapped as a gift for her birthday in September when I saw them last. But then obviously I also promised I would make my dad a hat. And my dad's specifications were, I don't have any specific wishes, but I want it to be black, blue, or grey. I want it to be warmer than the ones you've made before, and I don't want it to be holey. So I got him some yarn in Germany with my sister actually, and this is yarn from Rico Designs Essentials Super Aran. So this is sort of like a single yarn. It's 50% wool, 50% acrylic. I do think it may pill a little bit, but it's very soft and it's very thick. So I thought that would be quite good. And I think the color is very, very pretty. It is color number 12. So I got 2 balls of this. One is almost finished, so I'm glad I got 2. And my plan was always to knit this into a hat for his birthday, which was yesterday, in time for me to bring it back to Germany. And I was so close to just taking the balls back to Germany and knitting it there, but I did start it the other day, and I'm glad I did. So this is my dad's hat. As you can tell, it is just a 1x1 ribbed hat. no pattern. I just sort of experimented with casting on stitches until it felt right. And this fits me, so it should fit him, and it's very stretchy. And I know he'll want it to with a broad cuff, so I'm making it quite long, but I think I don't even need to go that much longer before I start the decreases. So yeah, that is my dad's ribbed hat. And I think actually it looks really nice. It may pill, but I think it's a very pretty yarn. Like you could see that in a store. Not that store-bought is the aesthetic we need to go for, but for my dad, I think it is. So yeah, that is my dad's hat. This yarn recommends a size 5mm needle, but I wanted, he wanted it to be sort of tight and like a solid sort of fabric. And I also don't want it to wear out too much, so I went down to a 4mm needle. And yeah, it's giving a really nice fabric that I don't think will just sort of stretch out over time. It feels quite solid, which I think is a good thing. And yes, it is an awkward birthday present in August, but I can see my dad with this so well. This is so him. So I'm very, very excited because my dad, as it turns out, is actually quite knit-worthy in terms of his hats. He's bald, so he needs a hat all the time in winter. And every time I go back to Germany to see my parents, I can see like all the hats that I've ever knit him, like flying around the house and his car and so on. So yeah, he's getting another hat, and it's another quick project and another project where I'm just getting yarn out of stash, which is good. And then, oh yeah, I have two more projects, I forgot. I finished the first of my travel socks. So these socks have been almost exclusively knit on either the train to work, the train to London last week, 2 weekends ago when I went to Loop, and at my son's martial arts class. But I finished the first one. This is just a very, very simple pattern sock. I cast on in a contrast color and knit, I think, 1 row, and then change the main color. And then for the pattern, it's just knit 1, purl 1 for 1 row, and then knit every other row. So it's just an interrupted rib, I guess, or broken rib, whatever you want to call it. And then I did the contrast toe. So number 1 is done, and I have started number 2, just so I have it on the needles. Not sure if I'll either try to get close to finishing this before we leave, or I'll take it for travel, but I think I might just try to finish it and then take new projects with me. Yeah, so that is that pair of socks, and the yarn is, come on, I know what the yarn is. Why doesn't it pop into my head? Spectrum fiber. Don't ask me about the colorway name. I'm sorry. It's one of the many speckled fun colorways, and it is one of them on her sock base. So yeah, that is my sock project. And then last week I waffled on and on about my Osaka Scarf, which is my mohair scarf that I saw and fell in love with in Loop. And here it is. It has been scrunched up. It does not look as beautiful as I promise you it is in person. But this is the Osaka Scarf by Ito Yarns, although you could also say it's just a stockinette scarf. I am knitting it in the round. I got the quote-unquote pattern from Loop when I bought the yarn. And yeah, I talked about it in detail last week, so I won't talk too much about it today. But I have finished my first color, and the pattern gives you a specific amount of rows to knit per color. But I was so close to finishing up my ball of mohair, and I knew what would I do with like a tiny, tiny piece of mohair that didn't even register on the scale anymore. So I decided to just knit the whole ball of mohair, and I think I'm gonna do the same with the other colors. So I'm onto my second color. It's number 2 out of 5. If you want to see the other colors, basically this is what will happen. So it is getting a little bit lighter as we go. And this is the original yarn, which is Ito Sensai, which is a yarn that I really enjoy. I used to knit with it when we were in Germany. And this is 60% mohair, 40% silk. And these ones are interesting in that they are only 20 grams, but they still have 240 meters. So this is arguably slightly thinner than your sort of regular mohair silk. So if you were to use any other mohair, that would work just fine. But just be aware that maybe I don't know. I mean, maybe you want to use the whole ball, but maybe you want to use a little bit less of each ball if you want to get the same effect. But yeah, I really, really love it. It's a little bit slow going just because the yarn is so fine. And not that it's slow to knit, but in the fact that like a sock, I can knit really fast, but this I can't knit really fast because I don't know, the strands are just so thin. If I knit too fast, I will drop stitches. So just in terms of the progress, it feels a bit slower, almost like meditative. But I don't think it's a bad thing, and I think this will be my travel project for sure, because this will be super easy to take. It weighs basically nothing. It is mindless. It's basically like my version of like a muscle bra hat. Like you just knit in the round and it's very easy. So I think this will be coming with me to Germany. I am using 3.25 millimeter needles, which is, I think the pattern recommends 4 millimeter needles, but I am getting gauge, which is interesting because I am a loose knitter. So yeah, that is my beautiful scarf and I can't wait for this to be finished. Yeah, I really, really like this. I think I've influenced a couple of you guys to either start knitting Osaka scarves or knit a winter's beach cardigan. So if you do, please do let me know. And honestly, I think it would be a little bit easier if I knew that someone else was knitting like rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds of single strand mohair with me, because it is a slow project. So yeah, let me know if you are knitting that as well. Right, lastly, very, very briefly, talk about embroidery. I finished this. I finished my DMC kit of the London skyline. I love it. This was so fun. This was quite challenging just because it was very, 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 very fiddly. But I think it came out really well. I'm really, really happy with it. In fact, I'm so happy with it. I found the Paris version of this on sale for, I think it was like 10 quid or something off eBay. So I bought the Paris version as well. I think I need a little bit of a break until I do another super fine one like this. But it will happen eventually because then I'll have a series. I think they have like a New York City one as well, which I've never been. I don't really have any connection to that. But having Paris and this one, I think, will be quite nice. So yeah, let's see what happens. I also appreciated a couple of you who got in touch last week and said, Julia, the hoops you get with these kits are more for displaying and you should get a better hoop to stitch in. And a couple of people recommended the Nudge hoops. So I got some. And yeah, you're right. They're quite good. They do make it easier. I will say, I wish that they had a middle size between the size 2 and the size 3. Because the size 2 is almost too small and the size 3 is definitely like just too big for most of my projects, as it turns out. But I still appreciate the hint, and yeah, going forward, I will try to stitch these on a better hoop and then just use these for displaying. So yeah, that is my embroidery for the week. I did start a new one, but I'll just show that to you as it's done, and my son has already claimed it anyways. I got him a kit. I got myself a kit to make for him, which I thought would be really, really cute for his room. Like it says like you're super duper, and it has the like space things, which I thought would be perfect because my child has a space room. He's space obsessed. But no, he fell in love with one of my floral embroidery bits that I was planning to do like as a little series. But he's claimed it, so he's getting that one, I guess. But I'll just show that to you when I've actually made more progress. So yeah, you've seen my cotton purchases. You've heard about my plans. That is basically it for the creative part of this episode. In terms of life, just very, very briefly to let you know that you never know, but most likely there will be a pause in podcasting until sort of the end of August because, like I said, we'll be in Germany and my son is home from school and I'll be working. And yeah, it's just not looking very realistic. And also, I think it's fine to take a break. I can do what I want. So yeah, this might be a little bit of a break in terms of podcasting, but you can follow me along on Instagram if you are using that platform. Feel free to find me there as The Happy Knitting Podcast. And yeah, otherwise my son finished school, he finished reception last week. Of course, that just changes the rhythm of life completely, especially if you're still having to work and annual leave doesn't cover school holidays. So that's been interesting. But going to Germany and seeing my parents should massively help with that. And yeah, otherwise it's just been busy. Sort of July is one of the busiest times in my work as well. So we're just getting through that now, and I'm desperately hoping things will calm down now. And this weekend I'm enjoying some time by myself, which is great because I can just sort of hunker down and do all the knitting, all the crafting while my son and husband are meeting his family. So I am quite excited and I think I need that as well. So yeah, I've been taking it slow. I've slept in, I've had French toast, which now my entire house smells like French toast, which is not a bad thing. And I'm going to spend the day knitting, crafting, watching F1, and then hopefully having a nice dinner with a friend. So yeah, I'm just going to be in my happy place. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're also happy and safe and have some yarn to play with. Do let me know what you are working on. I always love hearing all your plans. And to the person knitting on their Christmas in July sweater, the festive yoke, I haven't forgotten. I need to make mine too. I know, I told you to remind me, and I am aware. Maybe I cast it on, who knows? But I haven't forgotten about that one. But anyways, I hope you are doing very, very well. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Happy knitting. Bye.